vegetable stir fry. So today we're going to continue working on our knife skills as we chop up, again, some vegetables, and then today we're going to also chop up some pork. So to start off with, I'm going to get all my vegetables cut up first. So carrot here I've got peeled already. I'm going to just cut this into bite-sized pieces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just cut it into long strips first. When I'm cutting this, I'm using the blade grip so it's easier for me to hold on to. After I've got this done, I'm gonna just cut these into nice bite-sized pieces. I find if I cut it on an angle, 45-degree angle like this, if this is 0 and this is 90, somewhere like this, and I rotate the food, I can get these really nice bite-sized pieces of food that aren't too big and easy for you to cook up. So after I've chopped everything up, I'm just going to place it back onto my plate as I prepare everything first before I start to cook. So this is good practice for you to perfect your knife skills, cutting up all of these things. So there's my carrot. Next, I'm going to go ahead cut up my bell pepper. So I'm going to again cut the top up like I showed you the other day, and then you can just pull out the centerpiece. And then I've got a bowl on the side here where I'm putting all my things that I can compost. I'm going to go ahead, cut it in half, and then I'm going to use the draw. I'm going to just pull these into long, thin strips. You can use your tip of your knife to remove the inside part of the bell pepper. Just continue chopping up like so. You can cut as little or as much as you like, and you can change up the vegetables as you see fit. So I'm using the ones that I have here on my plate, but if you want to adjust it with something different, you can do that as well. So bell peppers, mushrooms, next. I'm just gonna chop these. I'm gonna just quarter these because I don't want them into too small pieces for my stir fry. Let's go ahead and do that. And then for my corn, I'm just gonna cut these into bite-sized pieces. Again, you don't want things too small. Broccoli, you can go ahead. I like to cut off the stalk first, and this just make sure that all my florets are into bite-sized pieces, but keeping it nice like this. Don't break them up too small where you're cutting up all the flower parts at the top. Just cut it in half so you have nice, like I said, bite-sized pieces. Something like this. And I won't waste the stem. I'm still going to chop that up again into something bite-sized so that it's manageable to eat easily. Pop that on there, and do the same thing with my cauliflower. Just cut off the heads, pieces, put that back on. And I'm just going to continue chopping up the remaining of my things here. There we have it. All our vegetables are pretty much done. In this stock, chop that up. Still very good vegetables to use. And the last is the last of my corn here. So depending on how big of a stir fry you want to make, this should be plenty for about, I'd say, 4 people. So that's all done. Now I'm going to cut up my meat after I've cut up all my veg. So just go ahead and remove, I've got pork shoulder here, or pork collar. I'm gonna take a piece, and depending on how much meat you want to put inside, but I'm just gonna take it, I'm gonna hold it using the claw grip, and I want to cut my meat into really nice thin strips of pork so that I know it's gonna cook up really quickly. Otherwise, you run the risk of it not cooking all the way to the center, and for stir fry, we don't want to cook it for too long, so I'm just gonna go ahead and cut this up. We need to chop up some garlic as well. So to chop up the garlic, what I do is I usually cut off the end piece, and then I take the blade and I press down on the garlic, and what that does is it smashes it, but it makes it really easy for you to release the skin off of the pieces of garlic so that you don't have to try and fight them so hard to remove all the pieces of garlic inside. Otherwise you'll spend a lot of time trying to remove that. So once the garlic's done like that, what I'm going to ask you to do is you can start with claw grip and just lightly chop up the garlic, and then you want to mince it up a little bit further, so you can do the same technique I've been showing you. Hold the tip of the knife down as you rock the knife back and forth over top of the garlic. Keep pushing it back to the center, and then you'll have it all chopped up really nicely. We're now ready to start cooking up our stir fry, but before I do that, one last thing I want to prepare is a slurry. So I'm just going to take some cornstarch. I'm going to take about 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, add that into a small bowl, and then inside of this I'm also going to add in 2 tablespoons of water. Make sure the water's cold so you can make it into like a slurry or a paste, you'll see here. And we're going to use this a little bit later on to help thicken up the sauce inside of our stir fry. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take about 1 or 2 tablespoons of oil. I'm going to go probably about 2 tablespoons of oil here. And then I'm going to take and add in my garlic and turn the heat on to a medium heat. Once I can start to smell the garlic cooking, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add in all of my pork to cook it up, because I want to make sure that it cooks up well. So the garlic is now cooking up, it's sizzling really nicely. I'm going to go ahead and take all my pork and place it into the bottom of my frying pan. I'm just going to spread it around so that it can all cook up nice and evenly. Just keep mixing it with your spatula, or if you have tongs, you can use tongs. Just remember, if you're using a non-stick pan, you don't want to use anything metal like this inside of a non-stick pot. You can see it's starting to cook up quite quickly. So my meat is cooking up nice and well. I've got it pretty well cooked up here. So for the next part, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add in all of my different vegetables. So it is a vegetable stir fry, so I'm just going to go ahead and dump all my vegetables inside. I would have a little bit of water ready so that you can add just maybe a couple tablespoons of water into there, because the pan is really hot. You don't want things to burn. You just want it to cook up. And so adding a little bit of water creates steam and prevents it from burning the vegetables on the bottom. So we're gonna go ahead and cook that up for a few minutes. While this is cooking up, I'm gonna start adding in all the seasoning in our recipe. So the first thing I'm gonna add in here is chicken powder. So you can just buy some chicken powder like this. If you're a vegetarian, you can leave this out, but you're gonna have to season it with some salt, probably, and pepper. So I'm gonna go ahead and take 1 teaspoon of chicken powder and just sprinkle that on top. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and take some oyster sauce. And I'm gonna add in about 2 teaspoons of oyster sauce. So that's a teaspoon here. 1 and 2. Add in my soy sauce. And I'm gonna add in here about 2 teaspoons of soy sauce as well. 1 and 2. And then I'm gonna start to just mix it all up. So I put a little bit of water. I've measured a total of about 1/4 cup of water inside of here that I'm gonna keep adding into this stir fry little bit by little bit to help cook up the vegetables. So there we go. We got 1/4 cup. We have all our seasoning inside of here. And we're gonna let that cook now for a few minutes to soften all of the vegetables. The vegetables have been cooking up for about 5 minutes or so. What you can do is you can just take out a piece of carrot, because that's gonna be the one that takes the longest to cook. And then I would recommend tasting it, making sure it's well cooked, soft enough to eat, and then you can go ahead and finish off. So mine's good now. I'm gonna take this slurry that we made earlier, which is the cornstarch and the water. Make sure you stir it up one last time before you go to put it in. Otherwise the cornstarch might stick all to the bottom. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and pour that all into my pan. You can use a wok or a really high side frying pan like I'm using here. And then you're just gonna give that a toss and toss that inside. And you see at the beginning there's lots of liquid in here, but as the starch from the cornstarch starts to absorb that liquid, it will thicken and we'll have a lot less liquid inside of here. And instead it will coat and create like a sauce over top of our vegetables. And there we have it. You can see the liquid is becoming almost gone and just coating the vegetables nicely. It's now like a sauce that covers and coats all of the meat and vegetables. And there we have it. It looks quite good. I'm going to shut the heat off. And now I'm going to plate it up. Now I'm going to take the stir-fried vegetables, and you can take and put a bed of rice on here. I'm just going to take some stir-fried vegetable. I'm going to place it on my plate, and then it'll be ready to serve. You can serve it as individual dishes, or you can fill up a bowl and serve family style for everyone. It looks really nice with all the color, all those vegetables inside your bowl. There we have our stir-fried vegetable